All right, welcome to episode 2 of the High Point Podcast. I'm your host, Rick Hyde Jr., joined by my co host, J Dub Tynes. How are you, Jacob?
Hey everybody, doing great. Getting ready for some real football.
Yeah, absolutely. So glad week 1 is finally here with the Cowboys and Eagles tonight. Yeah. So we're super excited for things to finally kick off. I know you have some specific thoughts with the Cowboys and the Micah trade. So that'll be interesting. We'll go into that. Where we want to start with some of our storylines, the Chargers and Chiefs game. It's going to be fully streamed on YouTube. I thought that's a step in a very interesting direction. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. It's just more platforms that
Yeah,
you're going to have pretty soon. Everybody's going to have an NFL game, you know.
yeah. I thought it was interesting. I don't know if it was last year, the first year, or if it was the year before that. But when they did, when Netflix had some, didn't they have some? It was like the
And they were terrible. It was like a Christmas game, and the
yeah, it's
streaming
the
quality
Texans.
was just, it was awful. Yeah, so if Fubo shells out enough money, they could get a freaking game,
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter. The NFL will take the money, and they don't care about the fan experience.
yeah.
They don't care that they're essentially asking you to pay for 19 different subscriptions if you want to watch all the
Yep.
games.
I'll say at least YouTube owned by Google, like they should have the infrastructure to not have
Should.
issues. They do live events all the time. I'm hoping that there's no issues. They
I
teased
have
out,
more faith in YouTube than in Netflix.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I saw them tease out an advertisement today. It was like Roger Goodell and Mr. Beast, and the joke was, "Oh, Mr. Beast owns the NFL now," and um, that part's annoying. I can't stand Mr. Beast, but I did like a lot of the whole shtick around the ad was, yeah. So now we're expanding 53 man roster to 54 man, and we're gonna add one YouTuber to each team, and it was kind of funny. They had like if you know Speed, I show
Yep.
Speed or something. Um, he was in the one for Miami. They had Sketch in the one for the Texans. It was fun, it was silly, but and those were the notable names. I didn't really know anybody else, but either way, it's free to watch, so that's kind of cool. You don't have to have
For
a
now.
yeah, you don't have a YouTube subscription or anything like that for now. So I mean, I don't know. I think it's cool. Um, I don't know what's going to come of it, but that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of different movement around how to view football this year, Red Zone, as you know, was purchased by ESPN, and they announced today that they are going to be including commercials. Okay. I think you and I were talking earlier about this. How that's kind of inevitable. They're gonna show commercials. Um, I'm hoping because I don't know exactly
Well, it
the
doesn't have to be, but ESPN, like the NFL,
yeah,
only cares about the money.
yeah,
So, you know,
yep. And we'll see if they do the thing that they do in NFL games where with whatever you're watching kind of shrinks into a third or like maybe a half of the screen, and then they do the ad next to it. I don't mind that as much. But if it's
yeah.
like, hey, we're cutting away from red zone, that kind of sucks because red zone, the whole allure around it was what 7 hours straight of football or something like
Nonstop
that.
football,
So
uninterrupted.
exactly.
Um, yeah.
And I feel like all of the top storylines that I have are very doom and gloom about the NFL. But I also saw that this year injury updates are going to be given 3 times a week. Compared to what I'm not sure what the normal was, to be honest, whether if it was two or just like one on Mondays or Tuesdays, but probably Tuesdays I would think. But apparently that move is to appeal to both fantasy players and to bettors, considering there's a lot more around betting and betting culture around the NFL
Yeah, I mean, you can just say betters because fantasy is betting for the most part.
I guess so.
Um,
Yeah, that's a good point.
I guess it's another move. They made. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, where they brought back the doubtful tag
Hmm.
for injury designations, and they got rid of what is it, probable, or I don't know. They made some changes, but it just seems like another step in that direction. I mean, it's nice for transparency. It is good for betting. I think things will be more fair. It's makes things less prone for insiders who have information to get a leg up on the regular person. But other than that, it's not a huge deal to me. I
Hmm.
think the teams are going to continue to try and find a way to skirt around those rules as
Oh
much
yeah.
as they can to make team opposing teams game plan, all that kind of stuff. So it's just it's they're changing the chessboard just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. What actually like happens now that like I don't know if it'll change much. It won't change much for me. I'm gonna be honest for fantasy football, where I check it on Tuesday. The waiver wire drops Wednesday for the league I'm in. I think that's standard though, and then that's it.
Right.
I don't need to know every update. Like 3 times a week. I think that's kind of crazy. Last thing, at least for just you know news flash across the top of the page, right? Something exciting. Um, I think it's really fun that we're having an MVP battle to start the season with the Ravens and the
Yeah.
Bills. I think I think it's a Sunday night game, and that's the one I'm most excited about this week. Outside of watching my Texans, so just your initial thought. Who takes home the MVP this year?
I don't know. It's too early for me to tell that, but I think the Ravens win this game.
Yeah.
I yeah.
Do you think if you were a betting man, would you take Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or anybody else at MVP? Like between those two or the field?
Those two for sure.
You think it's going to be one of them this year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. And unless there's some crazy like, if for somehow the Bengals decide, hey, actually we're going to be good at defense, and Burrow leads them to 12-5, and I feel like that's not even a crazy high bar. A 12-5 record, I could see him as a dark horse to win the MVP because it's almost always a quarterback these days. I think he's the third best quarterback in the league. Lamar and Josh Allen have already won an MVP. I don't. That doesn't play into it too much. I know there's been multiple MVP winners before, but just like the NBA, it's like they don't like to repeat too often because I
Yeah,
think
it's voter fatigue.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we'll see. The last thing that we have, and I'm actually going to switch to the main cam for you.
Oh,
Um,
no.
Give me your thoughts, man. The Micah trade. How it affects both teams, who we think won the trade, and the only thing that I have to mention is kind of the post trade hit pieces that they put out. But I'll let you jump into it.
Yeah, so I have to start out by saying, first of all, I was completely wrong last episode. Um, Micah did want to trade, it seems. He was serious about that, and apparently there were irreconcilable differences. So I was definitely shocked when I saw that news. Sad. I have a Micah Parsons jersey. He's been my favorite player for the Cowboys for the past since he's joined the team. So it sucks. Being a Dallas Sports fan is pain, especially this year. I think it really hurts the team. Um, not that I had high expectations for us this year, but I had, in the back of your mind, there's always that little glimmer of hope, right? Like if Micah just goes off and everything clicks, like it could be our year, like
Mhm.
stereotypical Cowboy fan. I didn't have those expectations, but now it just seems like, you know, who's our star guy? Like, I guess it's Dak, old
Yeah.
man Dak, CD Lamb. Um, but anyway, putting my personal feelings aside and kind of analyzing the situation a little bit. So The Cowboys haven't said exactly why, right? Beyond what this whole nebulous thing that Jerry said they kind of had a handshake deal. Beyond that, they haven't really given concrete reasons, right? But and I got to give credit to Bob Sturm, Sports Radio 1310, the ticket out of Dallas. I listen to them all the time because they cover the Cowboys. But he did a segment on this the other day, and I agree heavily with him. And his conclusion was that ultimately, and this may be a matter of principle, I don't know, but ultimately the fact is the Cowboys just did not want to pay that amount of money for somebody who is not a locker room leader.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how good you are. You could go out there and get 20 sacks a season. Well, maybe that's exaggerating. I'm sure there's a limit, but the Cowboys are not paying their stars unless you're a locker room leader. And I think Bob Sturm said Dak Prescott passed the test, right? Like he got his payday. Our the players that we pay, they are leaders in the locker room. I don't want to say anything bad about Micah. The whole thing does strike me as somewhat immature, kind of how he's handled things in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And the same could be said of Jerry in more of a geriatric sort of sense. Um, but I don't know. I can definitely see Micah not being a leader, kind of having his own sort of clique and not, you know, pulling up the guys around them and making them better because that's what you want. You need a leader on offense and defense. You need those voices in the locker room that get your guys aligned, get them pumped up. All the intangibles. And the Cowboys don't think Micah has that.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Packers, on the other hand, they made a very uncharacteristic move. They shelled out a big amount of money for a player. They don't typically do that. Micah's deal was 4 years for 186 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
They think, and I think rightly so, based on their grades from last year and how they performed, that they're close to a Super Bowl. I think they are. I think they've got a good, solid team around them on both sides of the ball, and Micah can only help
Mm-hmm.
in a big way. I think. From the Packers' perspective, on its face, they win the trade. It's a lot of money, but if you consider the fact that he's still on his fifth-year rookie deal, he's getting 21 million a year. So if you add that into it, that's 5 years for 207. That's 41 and a half mil a year, not 47 a mil.
Mm-hmm.
So originally, I think the handshake deal that Jerry had was supposedly 42 million,
Mm-hmm.
and when you count that fifth year in there, it becomes 42 million. So I don't know. I think the Packers win the trade on its face. Now, I do have one more thing that I want to say, but I'll pause and
Yeah.
give you some to react to any of that.
No, man, I was just taking it all in because I'm right there with you. I think the one thing that I disagree with, and I'm only saying this because you see this every time there's a massive trade. Um, if you got your guy that you called out, the radio announcer, I apologize, I forgot his name.
Bob Sturm,
Bob Sturm.
the
Okay,
Sturminator.
solid name. That the whole piece about he's being immature about the thing. There's always hit pieces post trade, right?
Sure.
They're always going to be
Cowboys are
people.
notorious for that
Yep.
during negotiations,
And there's
much less after trading a player away.
and there's going to be, oh, Micah wasn't committed to what we were doing here, or Micah, wasn't a leader in the locker room like you mentioned earlier. They did that with Luca, man. Luca got traded, and they're like, he's a fat ass. Like it was so messed up. They do that all the time. I think anytime you trade away, especially a star talent, it's let's trash him on the way out. So I mean, I try to take those with a grain of salt, but
For sure.
as somebody that follows them a little bit closer, I don't know. Maybe Micah was just getting a little hot to handle, and I think with your number crunching that you did earlier, I don't think that ultimately mattered to Micah at the end of the day. I think it was more of, okay, well, let me get to an organization that isn't consistently running around with their heads cut off, and let me get to someplace where I can win a Super Bowl. Because I'll say it, as long as Jerry Jones is the owner, I don't think they win a Super Bowl again. Sorry. I just don't think
Dude,
it's in
you
the
won't hear an
cards.
objection from me.
Yeah,
I totally disagree with a lot of the things Jerry's done over the years.
yeah,
And the one thing I'll say to Jerry's credit,
hmm
I've wanted, so there's a semblance of like shrewdness in this move
hmm
from the Cowboys front office. And I like that piece of it. Obviously, if it were up to me, I would have paid Micah that exact same contract for him to stay, even if he's not so much of a leader as they want him to be. I think you can become that. Coach, you give the guy the big money, and then you say, okay, now you got to be a leader, not
hmm
flip it around. But to Jerry's credit, he is thinking long term. He is thinking about the overall like holistic well being of the team.
hmm
You know, we've been in cap hell
yeah,
recently several times because we've paid players too much money. So, whether or not Mike is worth that money remains to be seen over the course of his contract.
hmm
So I'll say, like I said, Packers win the trade right now for sure. If you look at his contract, it's severely backloaded.
hmm
So 3-4 years down the line, Packers may find themselves in some cap trouble.
yeah,
What if Micah decides to play hardball with negotiations again, hold out, those sorts of things? That's what the Cowboys are wanting to avoid.
yeah, yeah.
So, you
And
know,
that'll be interesting. I still think it was a funny comment from Jerry being like, "Oh yeah, well we got I think it was 2 first round picks." And he's like, "Yeah, that could be a star player." And I saw all over Twitter, and I need to stay off sports Twitter because it's toxic. But people doing the Family Guy, Peter Griffin meme where
it
it's
could
like,
even be a boat. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like, oh, we could take the boat or the
Yeah.
mystery box. Anything could be in the mystery box. It could even be a boat, and it's the same thing, but with Jerry's face, and it could even be a Micah Parsons, and it's like, oh shit, man, like, I think again, like you said, in the short term, clearly Green Bay won this trade. Um, but we don't know. We don't know what those picks are going to turn into. It could be
Yep.
crazy good.
Well, they're likely going to be late picks, right?
hmm
Packers are good. They don't intend to suck the next couple of years. I don't know exactly what year the picks are, but expect them to be late round
That's
picks.
fine.
They're not going to be game changers. So
That's not
I
true.
don't know. The
That's not
Cowboys
true,
certainly
man.
could.
First round. You know who last pick in the first round? Lamar Jackson, and look at him now.
That's true. All right,
So
I'll give you that.
yeah. So I mean,
But the Cowboys have drafted like garbage the past like 3
mhm.
years. So if we don't right the ship real freaking quick, then I mean we're just gonna continue to middle.
Hey, you know what? Was the first rounder for next year? Was one of them for next year?
It might be.
Hey, you know what? Arch looked terrible this last weekend. Maybe his draft stock falls. You guys can go get Arch.
Oh man, don't say
You
that.
don't want
I'm
a
I'm hurting
Manning?
from all sides right now.
Oh well, good. We're gonna have some games later on today that'll draw into some of that. But
Okay, all right.
you want to go ahead and jump to the main part of our podcast today?
Sure, let's do it.
All right.
All right, let's go.
All right. So today's big part of the pod, we are naming your team's X factors. So this is going to be players. It could be star players, but I think at least with my criteria, I tried to do some that were, you know, maybe right on that edge of stardom, or just a player that I think will really pop this year, something like that. We're gonna start off. I literally have them all chunked within the divisions that they're in, and then I'll just remove them piece by piece, and we'll reveal each player. So, the Bills. I think that one was mine, right?
Yes.
All right. So I believe I had Joey Bosa. It wasn't until like maybe a week after this deal even got finalized that I saw he got signed to them, because it just seemed kind of out of nowhere. Um, it's just a 1 year deal, but having that veteran presence, having the tools that he's had forever, and he's always been really good and dynamic. So I think he can make a big impact for them this year on the defensive side of the ball. So that's who I have there. I'm really excited for him. Do you have Patriots?
I do.
All right.
Um, yeah, I've got running back Travion Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, not a lot really changed on the offensive side of the ball for the Pats, except with the acquisition of Stefan Diggs. We don't really know what he's going to look like yet. Um, so I picked this guy because he's obviously electric. His first NFL touch was a touchdown. He's going to be the Lightning, and Ramondre Stevenson is going to be the Thunder. I think is the vision. So I'm excited to see him play. Um, you know, just an electric player that I think could really break a few long touchdowns for the Pats this season.
Yeah, yeah, no, fantastic pick there. I enjoyed watching him so much, both at Ohio State last year, and then obviously the preseason, that he had was pretty fun to watch. Um, One of those players that gets you glued to the TV because
Yeah,
eventually he's going to bust off a big run. And
for sure.
yeah, great pick. Jets, I think that one's you as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I got Justin Fields here. The team's success is going to hinge on how he can perform. I think he's got the weapons with Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson. Their defense is decent. Um, it's going to come down to how he operates. I think regardless of what their defense can do, if he can't pull it out on the offensive side of the ball and score some points, be more accurate with his throws, then their season's just going to be a wash, and they'll move on to see who their next potential generational quarterback will be. But I like Justin Fields. I hope he does well and thrives this season, but I'm not confident that he will.
Yeah, no, and that's interesting, to have that. And I think you're right in the sense of him being an X factor because he is kind of his play is going to determine how the Jets season goes.
Sure.
Um, it was fun watching him with the Steelers last year before Russell came in and
Yep.
kind of took away all those snaps. And it wasn't even a sense of like, hey, they're going to battle for it. It was nope, Russell's going in. Sorry, Justin. Like, warm the bench, please. Thanks. And then be ready if Russell gets injured. And I don't think that ever happened. But I mean, he was solid those first 4 games of the season. So seeing him come here and hopefully turn around some of that, it will be really fun. I think the Jets are going to be better than, let's say that I think they're going to be in the top 2/3. So there's going to be uh, maybe 12 teams that are worse than them. Um, yeah, 10 or 11 teams that are worse than them. I still think they'll be like decent, but I don't know, 7 or 8 wins, like nothing crazy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We did our our predictions, and I've still got them at 215 for the season. So,
Fair enough.
like I
All right,
said,
man.
I really hope they do better than that,
Yeah,
but I don't think they will. We'll see.
I think Jets for both of us this year are going to be one of those teams where it's like maybe they can do good. Like, I'd like to see something because I
Yeah.
mean, again, like you said, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, all good um, tools around him, and if I remember correctly, a decent, not great O line. Yeah, something
Yeah,
can
they
happen.
bolstered their O line this offseason. I think actually just came out this week. One of their O linemen tore his tricep, and this is the
Oh,
third season in a row that this guy has torn a tricep muscle.
hey, buddy, might be time to pack it up. God,
Yeah, I
three
mean,
three seasons in a row.
yeah,
That's crazy. Um, all right, Dolphins. I think Dolphins is mine.
that's you.
Yeah, Darren Waller. Um, we know Darren Waller as a proven commodity in his previous stints, then kind of took some time away, wasn't able to make rosters, and the Dolphins signed him out of nowhere over the offseason. And I'm thinking, okay, cool, let's have a little bit of a renaissance, my guy. Like, I I, I think he is truly like an X factor with the Dolphins. They're set at wide receiver. They're set at running back. It's going to be nice to have a tight end that can hit that seam or even just do a little dump off route to get Tua out of some trouble. So, and you know what? Tua gets hit a lot in the head. And you know who will be that like reinforcer? If somebody knocks down Tua, Darren Waller is going to go and mess that guy up. So I like Darren Waller. I like his attitude. Uh, I don't know. We'll see how his year plans out, but I have the utmost hope that he'll do well.
Yeah, I like Darren Waller. I like his sort of comeback story. I don't think they've had a tight end threat since what Mike Gesicki.
Yeah.
It was Johnny Smith last year. So
hmm
so yeah,
Ravens is me. And speaking of tight ends, we're going to keep with that theme. Isaiah Likely. Obviously they have Mark Andrews, but at the beginning of the year, I think Isaiah Likely, from a tight end perspective, was just lighting it up from yardage and touchdown perspective. Even the first game last year, which I believe was Ravens Chiefs, went into overtime. That was probably one of the best opening games in a very long time. It was so fun. Um, and he was really really good. I think he ended up catching the ball at the back of the end zone, but his foot was out of bounds or something, right? I think that
yeah,
was
yep,
what ended up happening. Either way, to have that good of a tight end as a backup, it'll be interesting to see if they roll out a two tight end package occasionally. You'll see that as kind of a theme with a lot of my X Factor picks with tight ends.
okay.
So we'll see. But all right, Bengals. I believe that one's you.
Yeah, I've got Burrow. No surprises here. The situation's kind of similar to Jets. Um, the offensive side of the ball hasn't changed much. Um, their defense, I don't know that they're going to be much better this season. So I think it's really going to rely on Joe Burrow to shoot out and beat a lot of teams yet again. Their offense is high powered, and that's how they won games last season. And I don't see that changing. So I think similar to the Jets, their quarterback, I mean their season's going to hinge on if Joe Burrow can continue the momentum from last year.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And obviously, like we talked about earlier, in my opinion, kind of the MVP dark horse. I think if there's just a little bit of defense, right? Nothing too crazy. If Trey Hendrickson has
Yeah.
just a monster year, and then maybe we shore up some of the issues in the back in the defensive backfield, um,
Yep.
you know, Bengals get to a 12-5 season or a 13-4 season. I think Burrow gets the MVP.
It
Uh,
wouldn't surprise me.
yeah, yeah. Browns is me. I think another tight end. Oh God, I'm lighting it up with tight ends. David Njoku. Yeah, I think he's a fantastic player, and I don't think that he maybe he does get enough love. He doesn't. He hasn't gotten a lot of love from me the last few seasons just because the Browns have been god awful. But with some of the shakiness that they have at wide receiver. Um, I think that he'll be another good safety blanket for. I'm blanking. Is it Flacco?
Yeah, Joe Flacco.
Yeah. Um, I think that'll be a good safety blanket, and I think he is primed to have a significantly better season than he did last year. And
I like
it's
to
not
hear
like
that. I actually I just drafted him in my fantasy draft
there you
earlier
go,
before we started. So
there you go. Put my name on it. Put that stamp. Steelers. Is that one you?
yeah, so I actually cheated a little bit here. I took TJ Watt and Aaron Rodgers. You know, the two names on the big names on this either side of the ball for them. It's tough for me to determine what the hell the Steelers are going to do this season.
Yeah.
You know, I always have a level of faith that Tomlin is going to be able to put together at least, like a 500 season.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's just TJ Watt's been their defensive leader for several years now. The dude is in his prime, just got a huge paycheck. Could he be the defensive MVP? Is Aaron Rodgers primed to breathe one last breath into his career? We'll see. But it's going to be one of those guys
Mm-hmm.
that really brings that X factor to the team. So
Yeah.
not surprising for either of them, but I couldn't decide.
No, no, no. I think those are good picks. I think Aaron Rodgers is an X factor, but that could also be if we said, "What's your biggest question mark this year?" Because it's like, yeah, he could just finally show his age and not, be able to last just physically. um, or he could somehow, if they have a good line around him that could just keep him safe in the pocket, because that man's not going to scramble. He's going to find his targets or he's going to throw it away. So as long as they can keep him off his back and keep him clean, yeah, he could have a great year. Nothing like his Packer years, but something serviceable to get the Steelers to 500. That's where I think they're at too, which is
Yep.
crazy because I can't remember if it was on a test pod or if it was on our last episode, but I talked about how the last time the Steelers were, you know,
Under
uh,
500,
under
it's a
500 was like
decade ago.
2002, like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Wild.
crazy.
All right, let's move into the rest of the AFC here. Chargers. Is that me or is that you?
That's you.
That's me.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's me.
You're good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I got to give one. I got to give one to my boy here, Justin Herbert. So the one major change I think this season compared to last season for the Chargers, their running back situation. They got Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris. As much as I dislike Najee from like a historical fantasy perspective, their running back situation is what I would consider a more complete set of backs. They're in the second year of their new offensive system, so I think Justin Herbert did tend to settle in a little bit at times in the last season. Hopefully, that will be stronger here. I think if he can't, elevate this team this year, he may kind of be cursed to be one of those middling aging QBs. I know you don't believe in Justin Herbert. I
No.
think he's got a really high ceiling, but also a low floor. But same thing as I said with Justin Fields and Joe Burrow. Quarterback's the most important position in football, but here more than anything, Justin Herbert's going to determine whether this team can be a playoff team. And I think the new running back situation is going to free up a lot of that for him.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
think it's a better situation for him.
yeah. I think you know how I feel about Herbert. I think I've made my opinion on him pretty loud and clear. Um, I think his ceiling is, and this is, I feel like this is a compliment. So don't shoot me for it. But I think his ceiling is um, his franchise's predecessor. I don't know who's specifically before him, but I mean Philip Rivers, where
Yeah,
yeah, he's going to be great statistically, right? He's going to light up the stat sheet. He's going to have a lot of phenomenal targets throughout his entire tenure, but
but none of it ever leads to actual success.
none of it
To
leads to playoff success.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's how I feel about it. And yeah, we'll see, right? But who knows? I probably would have said that about Joe Burrow had they never made that Super Bowl run, right?
yeah.
So I'm still kind of off the Justin Herbert train more than most. I know a lot of people like to just fangirl over him. So
I think it's a prove it year for him.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I got the Chiefs. Man, I going back to this list, I'm realizing how heavy I am on tight ends yet again.
Kelsey. Oh, okay. Backup tight.
Noah Gray, yes, and again, talking about teams that can use a two tight end package. This guy had more touchdowns than Kelsey last year. Noah Gray is fantastic, and every single year that he's been with the team, he's nearly doubled his yardage and nearly doubled his touchdowns. So I think this is you know the guy that's going to make a big play, especially early on in the season when they're a little depleted at wide receiver. To have this guy who's very fast for a tight end, and then you have Kelsey who's always been a sure shot. I don't
And
see. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say I liken it to the situation in Baltimore. They have two
Hmm.
really good receiving tight ends, one of which is better at blocking than the other, and one of which is a little bit cleaner route runner, faster, that sort of thing. So, but they're both threats,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
and that's why I specifically avoided tight ends from either of those teams in fantasy this year. So, I
Yeah. It's a
agree with you.
little bit more split, huh? And the same kind of the same thing there is you have one with Mark Andrews and Kelsey who are both seasoned veterans, and then you have. I actually don't know where Likely is, how long he's been in the league, but Noah Gray's been in for 3 years, I think, 3 or 4. So they're both young on the younger end. So they're fun to watch. They can be deep threats. They can be out route threats, crossing threats. There's not really a lot that these guys can't do from a route running perspective. Noah Gray's a
Yep.
decent blocker too. So yeah, it'll be fun to see where he leads. Raiders is yours, I believe.
Yeah, man. It's got to be Janty, right?
Yeah.
I like Geno Smith. I think he's going to do a much better job for the Raiders this season, but it's got to be Janty. The dude is just a lightning bolt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he's going to perform at the pro level. It, I get a little nervous when I think about the fact that he went to Boise State and the level of competition, but it's got to be him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the team's going to run through him probably for the next several years. Um,
Would you
yeah,
feel more confident if he went to a Power Five versus Boise State?
absolutely.
Yeah, you think it's tougher competition? Well, I guess yeah. If he was
Absolutely.
putting up those
If his
stats,
production was the same, oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah, for sure. You're looking at somebody like a Derrick Henry, so um,
Exactly.
that
And I
makes a
mean,
ton of
he
sense.
could be, I don't think he's Derrick Henry,
He's not
but
built like that. He's not a beast
could
like
be
that.
Derrick Henry light,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, a little shiftier Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it'll be fun to see. I'm really excited about his year too. I almost was gonna tell you to pick somebody different because I'm like, man, it's an X factor.
Obviously,
You can't
yeah.
put
I
a
mean,
rookie. And then I'm realizing I put a rookie as well. So, but we'll get into that later. Broncos, I put Bo Nix. I think in a similar facet of Justin Herbert. No, he probably has one more year now that I think about it. I was
so
gonna say
the
it's
way
kind of
you hate on people fanboying Justin Herbert is
the
how
way
you
I
fan Bo Nix.
not just Bo
Just so we're
Nix,
clear.
not just Bo Nix, Drake May as well. I think you've
Oh,
heard
that's
my
it.
my
Yeah.
love for Drake May. But yeah, Bo Nix, I think he's the guy there. Fantastic game manager. I I don't. I mean, there's a lot of great players on the Broncos that I could have put here, but I think when it comes to what's going to affect your games on a more grand scale, Bo Nix is the guy that it's like, hey, your record is going to go specifically with your game. If you have a bad game, you're probably losing that game, right? There's other teams where you have a quarterback that throws for 110 yards and no touchdowns, and they could still win the game just because they have a solid defense.
Yeah.
One of those being somebody like a Jordan Love with Green Bay. I don't think their offense needs to be stellar for them to win games. They have the best defensive end now, and they have the best free safety in Xavier McKinney. So
Yeah.
it's like they can solely just have a shutdown defense and win games. Um, Broncos can't do that. I think they have a solid defense too, but I think Bo Nix is kind of where things, live and die.
No disagreement here.
Texans is me. Henry Toto. Um, First of all, fantastic name. Um, but
They're not in Kansas anymore.
yeah, oh, that's funny. Henry Toto is in a unique situation, I think, where you have a lot of defenders around him that all have a ton of experience or are just that star level player already, like Willie Anderson Jr. On the other side, they have what's his name, Daniel
Daniil Hunter.
Hunter. Thank you, and a phenomenal defensive backfield as well. I think every single player there has had some level of All Pro performance. Henry Toto is just one of the guys that's like, hey, you're still damn good. You're not at the level of all those guys yet. So I'm hoping, if we have a big step up from him this year, we're having one of the best defenses in the league. That's a
Yeah.
little bit of, me being just a fan of the Texans. So maybe I'm a little daydreamy, but I think he's kind of the guy that can really beef up that defense even more than it already is.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Jags is you, right?
Yeah, man. No surprise here. It's Travis Hunter. I mean, what do you do with a guy that's good on both sides of the ball. How you game plan against him. Um, the Jags need that playmaker.
Hmm.
Um, and I think teams are just they're not going to know how to game plan for the guy. How are the Jags going to utilize him? What's he going to be better at? I think he's going to be all over the field on both sides of the ball. It's going to be really interesting to watch, and that's the definition of an X factor in my mind. So
Yeah,
this guy encapsulates the entire exercise.
it's crazy. This man is in the NFL and he's still playing high school football. Like that's the last time I saw somebody play on both sides of the ball. Right? It's
Yeah,
so crazy to have that level of an athlete at the NFL. I'm sure if we go back in the 60s with all the unks, they'll probably say, yeah,
sure.
there's been players that have done that before. All right, cool, but nobody's doing it now, right?
Yeah,
So for
yeah,
him to, I know that the Jaguars have already said we're going to cater more towards the offense for him. He's going to be a wide receiver, but he'll still play some defensive snaps, like
yeah.
20% of the snaps or something. So that's still significant. Um, God, he's another one where it's like, hey, if the Jags are playing, ugh, he's a person that I want to watch, and
For
I'm
sure.
I'm saying that as a Texans fan. Colts is me. I think. Yeah, I this is one where I picked two. I got Kenny Moore and Charvarius Ward. They're two corners. Um,
Yeah, the defensive backs.
it's it's kind of a situation where I don't think the Colts have really much on the defensive end. So these guys need to be the guys that have to be lockdown corners because all over this division there is phenomenal wide receivers. These guys have to step up and make the big plays. If these two, if you get just a 20% uptick from what they had last year, that's a good defense. Just specifically from the pass game. So um, that's who I liked for my picks, and I couldn't decide because they're both in my head about the same in terms of
Same
skill
caliber
and
player for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Titans, is that you?
Yeah, man. I was going to pick Cam Ward here.
Yeah.
Um, what can I say? The Titans invested a lot in their O line. I don't think this guy's going to have much of an excuse outside inexperience,
Hmm.
and I like his demeanor. I think he's cool headed. I hope that he'll do well because I'd like to see the Titans give you guys a run for your money in that division for once. Yeah, I think it's Cam Ward, and also we haven't seen him at the pro level. He had decent competition with Miami, but I don't know. It's I liken it sort of Genty's situation, although
Hmm.
he's not as good as Genty is. Um, yeah, if the Titans can't score points, and I think they have decent weapons to do it with Pollard, um, with Calvin Ridley to throw to.
Right,
You know,
Ridley.
yeah. So he's not in the best situation, but the fact that they spent so much and invested so much in their O line, he should have the time to make the reads and throws that he needs to. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited to see what this guy could do too in the
That
pros.
that's really fun that you said that too with Calvin Ridley because I feel Cam Ward can utilize him a ton, a lot more than Will Levis did. So that I wouldn't be surprised if Calvin Ridley has a season where he's top 10 to 15 wide receiver. I could see that happening. Just
Yeah,
being a threat on that side of the ball for the Titans. Next one's yours as well. It's Cowboys.
yeah, man. I put George Pickens here. Um, Offense is largely unchanged outside, losing pieces on our O line, trying to both fill those in.
Mhm.
Our running backs are completely different. I think they're worse. They're certainly not any better. But George Pickens is the one area that I think, definitively made an upgrade on. I can't say that I'm crazy about this guy's demeanor. He's like Antonio Brown light, in my opinion.
Nice.
I generally don't like those kind of guys, but maybe that's kind of what we need. Maybe we need some edge on the offense, and it won't look so neutered. Regardless, and I think you said this earlier, he's been a wide receiver one. He's
Yep.
got that skill set. If he can assimilate into the Cowboy culture, then I think we got a steal here. So I'm hopeful that Dak can utilize Pickens, and I hope it doesn't blow up in our face. But you know,
Yeah, yeah. I see George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. I think of, Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne, right? When it's like you have these guys that could be a wide receiver one anywhere, and they're both on the same team. I think George is that level of player. Um, but you got to have a little bit of diva in your wide receivers. You always do. That's all the greats outside of Calvin Johnson. They're all
I think
divas.
CD Lamb is like the perfect amount of diva in my wide
Sure,
receiver. Yeah,
sure. But like when you think of all the greats, right? The two that pop out that aren't would be Calvin Johnson and AJ Green. Everybody else, Terrell Owens, Chad Ochocinco, Deshaun Jackson, any of those, you know, big wide receivers that you could think of, all timers, got a little bit
true.
of diva to them, got a little stank.
True.
So yeah, I like George Pickens. I think that's a great pick.
Thank you.
Giants, I'm also going wide receiver. I got Malik Neighbors. Big jump in year two, I think. Um, I have Wandale Robinson. They have one other wide receiver on their roster that I think is decent, but I don't think any of them are at the level of Malik Neighbors for obvious reasons, right?
Yep.
But I'm expecting a big year two out of him. We'll see what happens with Russell Wilson at the helm. I'm hoping that kind of helps Neighbors out, right? Versus Daniel Jones last year. You get somebody that's a little bit more, maybe not as mobile as he once was, but somebody that's sharp, who's been behind the ball for a lot of years.
Yep.
Um, Throwing to Malik Neighbors, I I feel like that is going to be their biggest threat this year. You know,
Absolutely.
I think at running back they're good but not great. So I think it's going to rely on the passing game a lot, and Malik Neighbors is a huge part of that.
Completely agree.
Eagles is you.
Yep. Yeah. So linebacker Zach Bond.
Hmm.
So the Eagles lost a lot of, I would say, important pieces off their defensive rotation last year. So they lost three of their top 10 sack players, seven of their top 15 solo tacklers. So they've had to, make replacements there in a lot of areas. I don't think they've necessarily upgraded in any specific place. So looking at this guy, he's the third oldest defensive player on the roster. He was their only eight all pro player last year, or excuse me, first team all pro. I think it's just this guy's going to be the key difference maker on the defense on a team where the offense doesn't need the help. They got it figured out. So yeah, I think this guy's the leader on the defense, and he's going to be the X factor. And how well they do on that side of the ball is going to be kind of up to him to coordinate things.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know too much about him, and I feel like there's on my end a severe lack of ball knowledge. Maybe I just don't watch enough Eagles game, but
Just 'cause-
um, you know, I that seemed like a great pick. I did some research after I had seen that pick, and yeah, that's definitely one of those guys. He's definitely an
Okay.
X factor.
Know
Um,
thy enemy. I hate the Eagles, so I got to know them.
yeah, and the Commanders too. I think this one's yours.
Yeah. Yeah, Jaden Daniels. I think he's kind of the shining example of what, last season, like what I would hope for Cam Ward to do this
Hmm.
season. Just tons of success, cool headed, makes the right plays, took the team very high last year. Um, I'm trying to think, what's different on the offensive side of the ball for them. They re-signed McLaurin. They
Thank
still
God.
have got Austin Eckler. I don't think a ton has changed there. So, it may be kind of boring. I think I've said this for several others, but their success is going to hinge on him
Hmm.
and how well he can. He's got. I don't think he has the greatest tight ends. Zach Ertz is old, but he used him as a safety blanket last year. If he goes down to injury, and let's say Austin Eckler, who's getting older, doesn't keep it up, like it's going to be up to him to make plays out of lesser tools
Hmm.
than I think some other teams have. So I think a large part of their success last reason was because of him, and it's going to be that way again.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting year two, right? I feel like
Yep.
year two, there's always like a comeback down to earth for a lot of these like rookie stars. So it'll
Well,
be
teams have
interesting.
tape on you. They know your tendencies, you know.
Exactly. Yep. And you jump into a little bit of a sophomore slump, but
Yep.
hopefully he doesn't have that issue. He has the tools and the head on him to not have that issue. So we'll see. I think they have coaches and coordinators that do a very good job at adapting to those things. So,
Sure.
despite any film that other teams have on him, I still think he can make a big impact. So, good choice there. I had Bears. I went with DeAndre Swift, and my big reason here, the Bears were pretty dreadful last year in the rushing game. DeAndre Swift is not a bad running back by any means, but they just couldn't get anything going. Big part of that was not really getting Caleb Williams going on the passing front until the back half of the season. So as long as they're able to set up the run a little bit, or I'm sorry, set up the pass by utilizing the run, that's going to help them jump up to a significantly better record than they have been. So
I agree.
I think DeAndre Swift there is kind of the guy to really elevate them on that side of the ball because then that'll make it a lot easier. Because after that, once you set up the run game enough and you're able to kind of spread out their defense a little bit or tighten in their defense, so then you can start throwing the ball around.
Yep.
He's got weapons, man. He's got two tight ends with
And the
Loveland
Bears
and
picked
Komet.
up a couple of offensive guards this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
One rookie and Joe Tooney, the veteran. So they've done some work on their O line. And I drafted this guy in my fantasy draft earlier. I think he's a good pick. I
Yep.
think he's a good solid running back. And yeah, Bears will be
Um,
interesting this season.
yeah, yeah. They're one of those teams like the Commanders last year, where I think they could randomly be like, "Hey, surprise, we have
Yeah,
11 wins."
yeah,
The Packers. I picked our Longhorn, Matthew Golden. Um, the main reason I did this is that and it's so funny that when Rodgers was the quarterback there, they couldn't seem to get some solid weapons around him, and then now that they have
and now
Jordan
they've got a
Love,
plethora.
yeah,
They've
yeah,
got
they're
too
like,
many.
hey, first round, let's go ahead and get us a damn good wide receiver. So, yeah, I think I told my family or one of my family members in my family fantasy draft. I was telling him, I was like, hey, I think this guy, maybe not this year, but like he could be a third, fourth round fantasy talent here in the next couple of years. I think he's really, really good. It'll depend on the type of rapport that he builds with Jordan Love.
I
I
agree.
love that he changed his number to 0 too. It's just golden with a 0. It looks so clean on the jersey. That'll be fun to watch too. Lions, is that you?
That is me. And I've got running back Jameer Gibbs. Think he's, I mean, on a team with a utterly stacked offense. Um, I think he's the most electric player. I think he's the playmaker. I think the Lions are a complete team. They're going to be aiming for a Super Bowl again this season. And I think Jameer Gibbs, the offense essentially runs through him.
Mm-hmm.
Amon Ross St. Brown too, but I think Jameer Gibbs is the more electric player, kind of like Travion Henderson, the guy that's going to break off big plays. So, yeah, I'm excited to see him. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, Jameer Gibbs was my first round pick this year, so
Nice.
I like him a lot. He's electric. Vikings is also you, right?
Yes, sir. And I don't have a ton to say here, man. Justin Jefferson. I thought about putting JJ
McCarthy.
McCarthy,
Yep.
but Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the league, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think he's the motor on that offense. If JJ McCarthy can just reliably get him the ball, then they'll be in decent shape no matter how everybody else does.
Yep.
I think the dude's a beast. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I can say. He's the best wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, we'll find out really quickly if he just made Darnold look really good last year,
Yeah,
or if
Okay.
Darnold was actually pretty damn good. We'll see. I think you know how I feel about JJ McCarthy too. It's in that same uh, family of hate as Justin Herbert, where it's like, yeah, they were decent in college. Sure, they might be decent statistically, but I feel like he's going to be another one of those guys where it's like, well, if he had like one more shot at this, or what if, like all that
Yeah.
crap. And we'll see though. I mean, I could be totally wrong, and JJ McCarthy be their Lord and Savior. Who knows? Um, we'll wrap up these ones. We can breeze through these ones pretty quickly.
Okay.
Falcons was you or me? Falcons was
You
me.
got Falcons.
Tyler Algier. This guy needs to come in and give Bijan a spell every now and then. And he is probably one of the higher rated running backs as a backup. Um, I think he was great last year. I think plenty of people had him. Like, it didn't even feel like you were losing anything by having him on your fantasy team, even though Bijan was right there taking up a majority of snaps, majority of yardage. He still went in there and did a decent job.
Yep.
Panthers is you.
Yeah, that's me, man. I went with the defensive player here, Derek Brown. The Panthers had near bottom five. It was definitely bottom five run defense last year. They like desperately need a run stopper, and their only Pro Bowler last season was Derek Brown. So
Mm-hmm.
I choose this guy. He's a team captain. He's coming off a torn meniscus from last season, um, but he's a good player. He's got a good grade. I hopefully he can anchor the defense for Carolina, and so that Bryce Young doesn't have to put up so many points.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think Bryce is the guy that you want playing hero ball.
Yeah.
I had the Saints. I went with Kelvin Banks Jr., another Longhorn. I took him because I really think the Saints are not in a year to compete, right? So whoever's there at quarterback, just keep them off their back. Protect their blind side, please.
Yep.
Whether that's Spencer Rattler early on in the season, or if Tyler Shuck ends up playing some in the back half, who cares? I honestly, just keep them safe. That's gonna look tremendous on you, and I think he's the player to do it. I think he's solid.
It's a good pick.
Buccaneers
It's
is
you.
that's me. Yep. Emeka Egbuka. This dude, everything out of training camp, everything in preseason, people are saying this is him. This is the guy. Um,
Interesting.
Obviously you have a always solid Mike Evans. He's aging, right? He's gone every year in his career with 1,000 receiving yards. He's been phenomenal. Chris Godwin just got injured, got injured last year, is still dealing with the ramifications of that injury. But Emeka Egbuka is like, hey, it, we've been blessed at wide receiver yet again. So he's going to be really fun to watch. I like him a lot this year. Cardinals is me again. Will Johnson. If you're unfamiliar, as we talked about in our last episode, we did our retired players tier list. Patrick Peterson is a guy that retired
Yeah.
after last year. Will Johnson is the rookie cornerback that's going in to take his spot. I think he's got big shoes to fill, and that can lead to some amazing things. We've seen situations like that before where you have a legend retire and there's somebody that's there to fill right in, and that's always fun to watch. So I have him. Niners is you, right?
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, man. I think it's obvious what he means to that team. Shanahan's obviously designed the entire offensive scheme around him. They were hurting without him last year, and still managed to do decent, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting to see whether he has any sort of lingering injuries or anything. Hamstrings kind of pop up over and over. Will he be the same as he has been? He is getting a little bit older. I wouldn't say he's old yet, but yeah, he's clearly the X factor for the team. Some people they may think it's Brock Purdy, but it's absolutely Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, yeah.
Without
When it comes to make or break and who's going to be able to bust off big plays, who's going to be able to really be able to shoulder the offense. Like, yes, Brock Purdy's fantastic, but he's a game manager at the end of the day. He's not.
yep,
I don't think anybody's expecting a 400-yard game from Brock Purdy this year, right?
Yep.
As fantastic as he is. So yeah, I think McCaffrey makes sense. Rams. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I picked Puna Ford here.
Nice. Man, is that three Longhorns?
Longhorn,
Yeah,
Longhorn,
that's
yeah.
three Longhorns in
Um,
our list here.
yeah, I mean they gave him a 3-year deal, 29 million or something. The fact is that the Rams had pretty glaring weakness in the run stopping position last year. I think they allowed, if you count their playoff games, 15 games of 100 plus rushing yards
Hmm.
against them. So this was a great move to fill that piece. I like Puna Ford. I think he's a great player. And, I think this is a perfect fit for them, and it should do them a lot of good.
Nice. Last guy for me, I got the Seattle Seahawks, where I have Devin Witherspoon. Um, the Seahawks, let me see, because I know I have a stat pulled up here. They have been abysmal from a defensive standpoint since Legion of Boom is gone. Devin Witherspoon is the highest rated cornerback for the Seahawks. I'm hoping him along with some of the other guys. I could have just said Seahawks backfield, defensive backfield.
Yeah, like entire secondary.
Yeah, because I mean, from their front defensive end, or I'm sorry, the defensive line and their linebackers, they're good. They're solid. I really want to see that next jump for that backfield because I want to see another Legion of Boom. Um, and that was probably some of the best football that I watched, the most exciting football that I watched.
It was so much fun.
So
Yeah.
hopefully there's a little bit of a revival of that. All right, so that's everything for our X factors. Comment, please tell me who you think the X factor for each team should be, or for your team specifically. We'd love to hear it. But outside of that, let's get into the tip drill.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. First one we're going to get into, we're going to have a little Texas Longhorn draft. How's that sound?
I love it.
Yeah. It was a rough weekend for us. I get it. But I started. I had the first pick last week, so let's have you get the first one here.
Um, let's go with Earl Campbell, running back.
Earl Campbell. Nice. I'll just put. God. This new keyboard is terrible. We'll go Campbell. Good pick. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take Vince Young because I think that's the right pick, the right first pick. No, I'm joking. There's two guys at quarterback, right? So unless you want to just go crazy and do Arch,
No, I'm actually gonna go crazy.
yeah.
I'm gonna pick Tom Landry for my quarterback.
I'm sorry. Did
Tom Landry.
really? I
Yes.
that is some Texas knowledge that I don't even know. I didn't even
That's
Tom Landry, like legendary Cowboys coach.
that's right.
Huh?
The Tom Landry.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He
Shout out
played
to
for
Salute.
some
Yeah.
Yankees team and then the Giants or something for 5 or 6 years. But anyway, just because of his coaching awesomeness, I'm putting him at QB, and you got Vince Young, which I knew you were going to take. So, whatever.
That's fine. Yeah. Cool. I'm also gonna go running back, and I'm gonna say Bijan. That's who I'm gonna take.
Okay. Um,
See, wide receiver. I feel like there are a lot of options. So I'm actually gonna go with a. I'm gonna go with the defense on my next pick. I think,
okay.
but this is your pick.
Oh, it's my pick?
It
All
is
right. Well, I'm going to go Marquise Goodwin for wide receiver.
nice. No, I like that. Marquise is so good, and if I'm not mistaken, he was also crazy track star too, right? Didn't he?
Yes.
Did he go to the Olympics?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think so.
phenomenal player. So, Defense, I'm going Arakpo.
Damn it. Yeah, okay. If you've got a Rakpo, I'll take Derek Johnson.
Derek Johnson. Okay, nice. Now it's just wide receivers on the board. I'm gonna go Roy Williams.
Dang it, I knew it.
Yeah, I was thinking. I mean, look, I think this is one of those positions where Longhorns have been kind of blessed. There's a lot of good wide receivers that have come through there, and
Yeah.
I went with Roy Williams because I think he is the best to ever play in burnt orange. I think my next pick is probably going to be a homer pick, just because I remember watching TV and seeing big plays from him. So I can almost promise you're not going to guess my last guy.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I already got Marquise Goodwin. I should have picked Roy Williams over Marquise for sure. Shoot, I don't know, man. Devin Duvernay.
Duvernay, nice, nice. I
He
like him.
hasn't he hasn't really shined in the NFL yet, but give it time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's with a different team now.
Ray, not Ravens anymore.
Yeah, yeah. He's with somebody else now.
Bears.
Bears, nice. So okay, look, I can win this draft right now, and I could say Jordan Shipley. I'm not going to though, because I'm going to take a homer pick. I'm going to go with Mr. Limas Swede. Just because I remember big plays. I know that might be a wild pick.
Okay.
That might be a wild pick, but I remember watching some of the games where he was just that big play guy when he
Yeah.
played. And so for me, again, a little bit of a homer pick. Viewers, tell us what you think. Who won this draft? Did I completely screw it up by going with Limas Swede instead of Jordan Shipley? Hell, both of us didn't go with Jordan Shipley, Quan Cosby, the other Shipley,
I think you win
Jackson.
this. I think you win this.
You think so?
Yeah, just on pure talent.
Yeah.
Even with Swede. Yeah. Whatever. I think I kind of had some homer picks with Landry and my wide receivers. Like whatever.
You know what? Also,
It's fun now.
shout out to Lima Swede. I didn't know this. He's from Brenham, Texas, and that's close to where I'm from.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool. I didn't even know that. But yeah, man. I think we both have good lists here, and I learned something new. I didn't know Tom Landry played quarterback at Texas. All right, man. Next one. What do we got on the list here?
Tier listing new uniforms.
Yeah, actually, we're just doing the new rivalry uniforms.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Did you get a chance to look at these? Some of them.
No, I haven't. I'm going in. This is the first time I'm
Ooh,
seeing them.
this is good. This is good. So the pictures I pulled then, I encourage you afterwards go check them out. The pictures I pulled are straight from the announcements that each team did, like on their Twitter.
Uh-huh.
So I think some pictures are just better than others. But we'll jump right into it. So we got our tier list here, and I'll jump around to show you each of the teams as well. So we got the AFC East and then the NFC West. Those are the teams that they did the rivalry jerseys for. And as I
Okay.
understand it, every year they're just going to rotate these through division. And I think the Texans, AFC South, are going to be next year. So I'm really
That's
excited
cool.
about that. But seeing all these unveiled was really fun. They all, had their little teasers along with it, and then they unveiled them. We'll start with the first one here. We got Buffalo. So icy, all icy, and what I didn't show here, maybe I'll put a picture up in editing, but they have their logo on the shoulder patch is like beveled and looks so cool. It's just their Bills logo, but it's all like icy white and
I mean,
silver.
those are pretty clean, man. I reserve the right to change my opinion, but I have to put them in A tier
Yeah,
at least.
yeah, no, I agree. I think they, when it comes to teams that do that all white stormtrooper look, that is a good one. That is a
The
good one.
Cowboys did had jerseys like that a couple of years ago. Ooh, I love them.
Yep, yep. Next one's Miami. So I I couldn't tell necessarily, and I don't think it's my computer monitor or even my phone. I couldn't tell if this is black or if this is like a really, really dark navy. I think it's
It
black.
looks black to me.
And to me, I kind of don't like that. I don't know if I would like it better if it was navy, but it just seems like the
It seems to me like it needs a little bit more pop of color, like turn the orange and turquoise a little bit more neon to make it pop, and that would kind of
Mhm.
give it the vibe it's looking for, like a Miami Nights sort of feel. I get
Yeah,
that, but yeah, I mean, this the pictures. I don't know that I like these.
yeah,
I'd put this like C tier.
yeah. I agree with you that the colors don't pop, and I
Yeah,
think because you know what this looks like. It looks like when you have any team, they have the practice jersey, and the quarterback jerseys are always like black. To
yeah,
basically, or they're red, but like sometimes they're black. It's basically, hey, don't hit this player. Um,
right.
that's kind of what these look like. They look like they're standard jerseys, but they just blacked out everything. So, um, yeah, C. I think C is fine for right now. Maybe we'll shift the ranks, but yeah, I didn't like them when they announced them.
Not crazy about them.
Next is the Patriots. So these ones also really cold. I liked these a lot. I like the whole motif they have with the lighthouse and like the bay, right? Um, what you're not seeing here is, and this is actually in a lot of them. Again, I'll in editing, I'll put pictures up to show it, but they have in the necklines in the back, they all say something, right? Um,
Like a quote.
yeah, like a quote, something that's important to the team. I really liked. There's a shoulder patch here that has like an in e that's together. It looks really nice. The only small issue that I have with this, because I think it has the proper amount of color balance with the white and then the blue jerseys and then the little pops of red. I would have still liked to see a pop of red within the helmet logo. I think it's just this right here where it's kind of the blue and white. There's no red there.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. They're good.
Hmm.
They're definitely not bad unis, but yeah, something just seems off with them.
Hmm.
The Patriots need that splash of red in there.
Hmm.
Like I could see this being a Cowboys uniform almost, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Um,
Another interesting design element that I don't think you can tell too much, but the numbers are actually have a drop shadow on them too, and that makes them look really
that's
clean.
cool.
So, but yeah, I think what are we thinking? Like B tier for these,
Yeah, I'd say B.
at least for right now.
Yeah, for now.
Again, maybe the ranks will shift around. The Jets. So this is another one. I wish they would have put out a
Could you
better
pick a
picture.
worse picture?
I know. You know what? I'm gonna do this live. Whatever. I did kind of like these in like the concept of them. Um, but I didn't like the. I'm just pulling this thing over. So it's gonna be like these ones here. They kind of have like a green gray to them.
Like an
Yeah,
olive drab?
kind of. Yeah, and it's supposed to be Gotham City football, right? I think that's kind of cool. They got the old English, but I think that's only in their marketing. I don't think it actually has any old English on the. I guess the numbers kind of look like they have that type of font to them. But yeah, it's like a gray, like or if you took like an olive green and just completely turned the saturation down to 1, where you could still tell that it's green, but it's mainly gray. Um, this is one that I think will look a lot better on field, but the marketing for it kind of sucked.
I agree. Based on the pictures, this has got to go in like a. I think I like these even less than the Miami ones.
Okay, we can put them in D.
What do you think?
I I agree with you, at least for what we're able to see right now. I think
Okay.
these ones, and there's another one down this list that I think are going to look so much better on field, uh, and they're going to look a lot better once we actually see them in real time. Arizona. So this might be the sleeper pick for me. I think, and I know the like speckled sand feels very college, but
Yeah,
there's something about these that just look very clean to me, and I like it a lot. Um, the red with the orange drop shadow, the Arizona state flag on the shoulder patch.
are the letters embossed,
Uh,
like
yeah,
with some
yeah,
reflective?
yeah, yeah. So I think they look really clean. Um, I personally, for me, I'm thinking A tier. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it, but we can put them in A tier.
Yeah, we'll go A tier with those. Next one up, LA Rams. Midnight mode.
Ooh,
Yeah. Um,
was it cleaned?
can I tell you what I don't like about these?
What you got?
Why'd they go with white numbers? I think those should be yellow numbers. I think they should
Probably.
be even their blue. Like if those numbers were in that blue color, that might pop because it's supposed to be a navy jersey. I know that one for sure. That one's. I don't think it's black. I think it's supposed to be navy. Um, and I think the pants being navy as well. Like everything looks really clean. I think the white numbers kind of take it out of it for me. It's like if those
I
popped and
agree.
had some yellow,
Need
still
it
still
either needs
decent
more
though.
white somewhere, or yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe no. I was gonna say maybe make the horns white, but I think that would look real funky. So
or maybe outline them in white.
yeah, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, not crazy about these. Put them in C tier.
Yeah, I was thinking B or C, so that I think C tier is fine. All right, I think this is gonna be our first S tier. You ready?
What you got?
Niners. Look at these jerseys. Look at the font. Look at the script across. It says faithful. The beautiful gold mask. The scarlet and the
Yeah,
gold.
man, no, you're not gonna hear an objection from me. Niners jerseys have always, much to my chagrin and Cowboys Nation, they're always clean.
Hmm.
And these are, oh man, that's dope.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams that obviously are they always try to switch it up. Then they're like, oh, let's do a black jersey, right? This is how you do it. This is how
Yeah,
you perfect it, right?
man,
Make
that
it,
gold face guard, that's oof, that's sick.
yeah.
With
I
the
like.
red visor, oof.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that touch. That's a red visor there. That's oh god, that's a
Might
nice
just be
look.
the light reflecting, but
Still, it's a
yeah,
nice look, and I think like I was saying, a lot of teams are like, oh, let's do a black jersey for our alternate, and it's literally just their jersey, their normal jersey
just flip
made black.
black.
This
Yeah,
is significantly different.
this
They
is
changed up the font
the
here.
letters are cool. I like
Mhm.
those.
So yeah, I really like it. I think that's our one and only S tier.
I agree.
Unless we end up shifting ranks where that
Yeah,
Buffalo Bills
Bills
one.
is pretty good, but I don't think it's as good as that one.
Okay, last one up we have Seahawks. I believe these are gray, and then this is like their classic navy look. I know it's not like a true navy, but you know that Seahawks blue, right?
It looks like the helmet's it's like a color shift green and blue. Do you see that?
Yeah, like green here, like a what's the term? Like an ombre type of thing, where it's
Yeah.
like green up
Yeah.
front. And it might,
That's super dope.
it might be, and if it is, then yeah, I think that would look a lot cleaner. But I don't
I
know if
think
they.
these are A tier, man. I like these too.
You like these? Okay.
Who designed did Nike design these?
Yeah, these are all Nike, I believe.
I think
Um,
they did pretty good for the most part.
I would
I like these
say
better than the cards unis.
I
So maybe we're divided on those two.
on what?
Yeah, I think you like the cards unis a little bit better, and I think I like these better.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Do you want to put them in that same type of tier, like around
Sure, why
A?
not? And go
Um,
ahead. Yeah, I mean, bump Bills up to S. Honestly, after seeing them all,
yeah.
no F tier though. I don't hate any of them.
Yeah, I didn't think the Jets were too bad. And honestly, I'll take the bullet on this one. Obviously, in editing, I'll put better pictures. But when I'm showing you this, I get it, right? You can't really glean too much from this.
Yeah, no, this.
But I did like their kind of steel metal type of look to them.
Yeah.
And again, the Gotham City football, their theming, their marketing around it was a lot better than it turned out. But I don't think it's this bad. I don't think it's a D. If anything,
We'll
in
see
my
what it looks
own,
like on field.
yeah, in my own opinion, if it was just solely me, I'd probably bump Miami's down. I don't like Miami's, but
Okay,
I
that's
think
fair.
I think this is good. I think this is a balanced list, and I think that I don't think we're diverting from what most people have had to say about them so far. Alrighty, so that'll do it for episode 2. Thanks for joining us again. Drop your comments down below. What team are you rooting for this year? What's your team? We'd love to hear. Love to know what you think their year is going to be like. Ultimately, since we're right here upon week 1, we're all very excited. We're anxious to see what's going to happen this year. Jacob, do you have anything that you want to add before we officially sign off?
No, I think we're cutting this episode a little short. I got to go take care of my little one. Do we want to do our picks real quick?
Yeah, we could do some quick picks.
Yes, I think I got Chiefs over Chargers in Brazil on Friday. I picked Cardinals over Saints,
Mhm.
Lions over Green Bay, and then I actually got Seattle to upset the Niners.
Nice, nice. I have the Eagles, Patriots, and Bills and Bears winning. And then my upset pick being the Jets over the Steelers. I think they're at home, and I don't think the Steelers are going to be that good. So that's my upset pick this week.
We need
But
to start doing points, like a point system for next week, so we
yeah,
can compete throughout the year.
yeah, maybe I'll keep track of all these.
Let's do that.
But thank you again. Follow along. I'm at Rick High Jr. Jacob is at JDubTines. And of course, you can follow the podcast at High Point Pod. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.